Love the Ravens as much as we do? Then smash that subscribe button and stay locked in with Flock News for all the drama, updates, and excitement all season long. Jaire Alexander, the cornerback who once stunned the NFL with his lockdown coverage and uncanny ability to anticipate routes, has reportedly expressed deep regret over his decision to join the Baltimore Ravens. Sources close to the player suggest that Alexander never anticipated the internal dynamics he would face in Baltimore, a team known for its disciplined culture, but also for high expectations that weigh heavily on every roster move. Fans who had celebrated his arrival last offseason might be shocked to hear that the star cornerback feels he may have misjudged the fit, but insiders indicate that Alexander's feelings stem not only from performance pressure, but also from clashes with coaching strategies, locker room chemistry, and perhaps even the city's environment, which can be intense and unrelenting. While Alexander has never openly criticized the organization in public statements, several teammates have hinted at moments of frustration during practice sessions, as if the defensive star was struggling to reconcile his playstyle with the Ravens' schemes. Analysts speculate that his regret might be quietly influencing his focus on the field, potentially affecting his instincts and split-second decisions that once made him an elite defender. The whispers of discontent have been circulating, creating a growing sense of unease among fans and pundits who wonder if the high-profile acquisition might be more turbulent behind the scenes than anyone suspected. Sources close to Alexander reveal that his unease is not a sudden development, but rather the culmination of months of internal conflict, as the cornerback reportedly feels his skills are being underutilized in Baltimore's defensive schemes. Observers who have followed his career note that Alexander thrives in systems that allow aggressive man-to-man coverage, but the Ravens' strategy, which often emphasizes zone coverage and rotation, may limit the freedom he once had in Green Bay. Friends and former teammates suggest that Alexander misses the autonomy and confidence instilled in him during his earlier years, where he could dictate matchups and anticipate quarterback tendencies without restriction. Reports indicate that Alexander has engaged in private conversations with family and mentors, expressing disappointment and questioning whether the move to Baltimore was driven by external pressures, such as contract incentives, media hype, or the allure of joining a high-profile team with Super Bowl ambitions. While he continues to show professionalism on the field, the emotional strain is said to linger, affecting how he communicates with coaching staff and integrates into complex defensive schemes. Sports insiders believe that if the narrative of regret is accurate, Alexander's public image as a confident, unshakable cornerback could contrast sharply with the private reality of uncertainty and frustration, potentially shaping trade rumors or future negotiations within the league. The atmosphere in Baltimore appears tense, though the organization maintains a facade of calm professionalism. Behind closed doors, sources suggest that Alexander has been visibly frustrated during meetings and film sessions, challenging certain play calls and occasionally questioning the coaching staff's approach to defensive rotations. His teammates have reportedly noticed a subtle shift in his attitude, with moments of introspection becoming more common than his previous confident on-field persona. While Alexander continues to deliver impressive individual statistics, insiders argue that the intangible effects of his regret may influence team chemistry, particularly in high-pressure situations where split-second communication and trust are paramount. Analysts examining game footage have begun to note subtle changes in his technique, including hesitation at critical junctions or a tendency to defer decisions, which contrasts with the aggressive, anticipatory style he exhibited in his prime seasons. Fans have speculated on social media about potential dissatisfaction, and rumors are gaining traction that Alexander might be considering his long-term future in Baltimore. Although the Ravens organization has not publicly addressed these whispers, insiders imply that discussions about role adjustments, scheme modifications, or even potential trade considerations could already be underway, fueled by Alexander's perceived frustration and the team's desire to maximize his considerable talent without compromising overall defensive cohesion. Rumors have begun circulating that Alexander may have been influenced by external factors in his decision-making process, including endorsements, financial incentives, and promises of a marquee role within the Ravens' defense. While such factors are common in NFL acquisitions, sources suggest that the reality of day-to-day life in Baltimore combined with the high expectations placed on a star signing, may have clashed with Alexander's personal priorities and professional instincts. Friends and family reportedly expressed concern over his well-being, indicating that the pressures of the move may have been underestimated. Teammates have been discreetly observing the subtle tension in his interactions, and whispers indicate that the defensive unit may be adjusting to accommodate not only his talent, but also his current mindset. Analysts point out that Alexander's skill set remains elite, but the psychological component of regret could impact his confidence in making split-second decisions against top-tier receivers. The combination of talent, internal pressure, and personal reflection creates a complex narrative that fans and pundits are eager to dissect, making Alexander's situation one of the most intriguing and talked-about subplots of the current NFL season. As speculation grows, the story of Alexander's regret continues to ripple through the league, sparking discussions about player fit, organizational culture, and the delicate balance between expectation and reality. Insiders report that Alexander's regret is compounded by the Ravens' intense media scrutiny, which magnifies every on-field misstep and magnifies off-field commentary. The cornerback, who once operated under a different kind of spotlight in his previous team environment, may be feeling the cumulative weight of constant analysis, criticism, and the pressure to justify his high-profile acquisition. Sources suggest that he has been more reserved in interviews, choosing words carefully to avoid inflaming the growing narrative of discontent. Yet every media interaction seems to fuel speculation further. Coaches have reportedly noticed the subtle changes in his demeanor, prompting behind-the-scenes discussions on how to re-engage him and restore the confidence that once made him a cornerstone of his previous team's defense. Teammates, while supportive, are said to be navigating the delicate balance between offering guidance and respecting his space, creating a complex interpersonal dynamic within the locker room. Analysts suggest that if Alexander's regret persists, it could have ramifications beyond his individual performance, potentially affecting defensive cohesion, strategic adjustments, and even trade market valuations. Fans, ever eager for insight, continue to dissect social media posts and on-field behavior for signs of deeper issues, keeping the rumor mill alive as the season progresses and every performance becomes a narrative touchpoint for speculation. The discussion around Alexander's move to Baltimore has ignited debates among sports commentators, fans, and former players, focusing on whether his regrets stem from tactical disagreements, cultural adjustments, or personal considerations. While some argue that every high-profile player experiences a period of adaptation, insiders suggest that Alexander's situation is intensified by the mismatch between expectations and reality. He is reportedly spending extra hours reviewing game film, attempting to recalibrate his instincts to align with Baltimore's defensive philosophy, yet sources indicate that the process has been mentally taxing. Friends close to Alexander describe him as reflective, sometimes questioning the decision to leave a familiar system where he excelled and enjoyed substantial autonomy. Rumors hint at informal conversations with other teams, exploring potential moves that could restore his confidence and optimize his talents. Analysts point out that while the Ravens have invested heavily in him, both financially and strategically, the psychological element of satisfaction and fulfillment cannot be overlooked. The combination of elite skill, perceived regret, and ongoing speculation creates a storyline rich with intrigue, as fans and insiders watch closely to see how Alexander navigates the chasm between personal expectation and professional reality. Sources indicate that Alexander has confided in mentors about his ongoing struggle to reconcile his abilities with the demands of Baltimore's system, revealing moments of vulnerability that contrast with his public persona of confidence and composure. These private admissions, although carefully guarded, have fueled insider discussions about his long-term fit with the team, with speculation ranging from role adjustments to potential trade considerations. Analysts note that Alexander's athleticism and strategic mind remain at the highest level, yet the psychological effects of regret could subtly influence his on-field decisiveness and interactions with teammates. Sports journalists have picked up on these nuances, interpreting subtle behavioral cues during games and practice sessions as evidence of deeper dissatisfaction. Fans, hungry for behind-the-scenes insight, amplify these whispers across forums and social media, creating a feedback loop that intensifies the narrative of regret. The interplay between personal reflection, professional ambition, and team dynamics makes Alexander's current chapter one of the most compelling subplots in the league, offering endless material for debate, speculation, and analysis as the season unfolds and the story continues to evolve beyond the headlines. Finally, insiders emphasize that Alexander's regret is multifaceted, rooted in a mixture of personal expectations, professional realities, and the inherent pressures of performing at an elite level in a demanding environment. Observers suggest that his commitment to excellence may paradoxically heighten his dissatisfaction, as every perceived mismatch or limitation is magnified in his self-assessment. Teammates and coaches are reportedly aware of his introspection, seeking ways to support his adaptation while maintaining overall team cohesion. The rumor mill has seized on these insights, crafting narratives that range from potential mid-season trades to subtle adjustments in defensive deployment, each possibility adding to the intrigue surrounding his tenure in Baltimore. Analysts argue that Alexander's situation highlights broader themes in professional sports: the delicate balance between talent and fit, the emotional toll of high-stakes decisions, and the impact of perception on both performance and legacy. As the NFL community watches closely, the story of Jaire Alexander's regret continues to captivate, raising questions about future developments and the potential ripple effects across the league, making it one of the most talked about and speculated upon narratives of the season. The whispers around Jaire Alexander's regret have only grown louder as the season progresses, with speculation swirling that the star cornerback may already be contemplating an exit strategy from Baltimore. Insiders claim that Alexander has become increasingly distant from certain team activities, attending meetings with visible detachment and showing signs of mental fatigue despite maintaining his physical preparation. The Ravens coaching staff, while publicly supportive, are reportedly concerned that his internal struggle could ripple through the locker room, subtly influencing morale and cohesion. Analysts emphasize that football is as much a mental game as it is physical, and even slight doubt or dissatisfaction can affect a player's instincts in high-pressure moments. Fans, noticing the shift in his body language during press conferences, have taken to social media to speculate about the truth behind his rumored regret. Some suggest that he is already considering the possibility of requesting a trade, while others believe the Ravens might preemptively explore their options to avoid long-term disruption. Regardless of the truth, the narrative has taken on a life of its own, feeding a cycle of speculation that continues to dominate conversations among sports media, fans, and insiders eager for clarity about Alexander's future in Baltimore. Behind closed doors, the Ravens are said to be weighing their options carefully, aware that publicly acknowledging Alexander's dissatisfaction could destabilize the team's momentum. Sources suggest that upper management has engaged in discreet conversations about how to address the situation without creating unnecessary drama. Some insiders believe that the coaching staff may attempt to redesign certain defensive schemes to better accommodate Alexander's preferred style, giving him more freedom in man-to-man matchups and allowing him to showcase the instincts that made him a household name. Others argue that such adjustments could create inconsistencies within the broader defensive philosophy, potentially causing friction with other players who have adapted to the Ravens' established system. Meanwhile, Alexander himself is rumored to be torn between pushing for change and enduring the current setup until the offseason, when more concrete decisions can be made. Friends close to him indicate that his regret is not about the city or the fan base, but rather the feeling of being constrained in a system that does not allow his natural aggressiveness to shine. As this delicate balancing act continues, speculation grows about whether Baltimore will ultimately bend to accommodate their star cornerback or quietly prepare to move on. The trade rumor mill has inevitably picked up steam, with insiders suggesting that multiple teams around the league would eagerly pursue Alexander should he become available. Analysts point out that his skill set remains elite, and despite whispers of regret, his on-field performance still commands respect from quarterbacks and wide receivers alike. Potential suitors are said to be monitoring the situation closely, waiting for any indication that Baltimore may be willing to entertain offers. Sources indicate that conversations within NFL circles have already broached hypothetical scenarios, with franchises envisioning Alexander as a transformative addition to their secondary. However, The Ravens' significant investment in him, both financially and strategically, complicates the likelihood of an immediate move. The organization faces the challenge of weighing long-term stability against short-term disruption, knowing that a disgruntled player, no matter how talented, can create ripple effects throughout the locker room. Fans remain divided, with some insisting the team must do everything possible to retain Alexander, while others argue that moving on could preserve overall harmony. The tension surrounding his future is becoming one of the most closely watched subplots of the season, with each passing week adding layers of intrigue to an already captivating saga. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. As rumors continue to swirl, attention has turned to how Alexander's potential regret could impact the Ravens' broader season ambitions. The team entered the year with high expectations, positioning themselves as legitimate contenders with one of the league's most disciplined defenses. Yet insiders suggest that Alexander's dissatisfaction, if left unresolved, could undermine the unity required to sustain a championship run. Teammates have reportedly rallied around him, offering support while trying not to dwell on the speculation. But the whispers have nonetheless created an undercurrent of distraction. Analysts argue that championship-caliber teams thrive on cohesion, trust, and shared commitment, and any cracks in that foundation can prove costly when the pressure mounts in critical playoff moments. For the Ravens, the challenge is not only maximizing Alexander's talent, but also ensuring that his emotional state aligns with the team's overarching goals. The delicate balance of maintaining individual satisfaction within the framework of collective ambition has become the focal point of discussions among sports media. As Baltimore pushes deeper into the season, observers are left to wonder whether Alexander's regret will fade with time or continue to loom over the franchise like an unresolved storm cloud. Reports indicate that Alexander has been increasingly reflective in private, questioning whether his move to Baltimore was truly motivated by personal ambition or by the external allure of joining a franchise with a storied defensive history. Friends suggest that he feels caught between wanting to honor his professional commitment and the nagging sense that he left something behind in Green Bay, where his identity as a player had been fully embraced. The contrast between his former environment and his current reality appears to fuel his internal conflict, intensifying the whispers of regret. Some insiders speculate that Alexander's mindset reflects the broader challenge faced by many athletes, balancing career opportunities with personal fulfillment. While he continues to perform admirably on the field, those closest to him worry that the weight of second-guessing his decision could hinder his ability to fully embrace his current role. Fans and analysts alike are captivated by this human element of the story, as it highlights the emotional complexities behind what might otherwise seem like routine roster moves. For Alexander, the struggle appears to extend beyond football itself, touching on deeper questions of identity, legacy, and the personal sacrifices demanded by life in the NFL spotlight. The Ravens coaching staff has reportedly explored ways to reinvigorate Alexander's confidence, holding private conversations to better understand his perspective and reestablish trust. Sources suggest that these discussions have centered on finding a middle ground where Alexander feels empowered while maintaining the integrity of Baltimore's defensive philosophy. Analysts note that such efforts are crucial not only for maximizing his individual performance, but also for preserving the cohesion of the entire defensive unit. However, insiders caution that these adjustments may take time, and with the NFL season's relentless pace, patience is a rare luxury. The challenge lies in addressing Alexander's concerns without signaling instability to the rest of the roster or to external observers. Fans are divided in their interpretation of these efforts, with some praising the organization's willingness to adapt, while others worry that catering to one player could set a dangerous precedent. As whispers of regret continue to dominate headlines, the Ravens are under increasing pressure to prove that they can manage the situation effectively. Whether through tactical adjustments, improved communication, or renewed trust, the path forward will likely determine not only Alexander's future, but also the trajectory of Baltimore's season. Meanwhile, rival teams and front offices are said to be closely monitoring the situation, fully aware that Alexander's discontent could present an unexpected opportunity. Insiders reveal that conversations about his potential availability have already surfaced in informal league discussions, with speculation about which franchises could both afford and maximize his talents. Analysts point to teams with flexible defensive schemes and cap space as logical destinations, should the situation escalate to a breaking point. However, others caution that Alexander's rumored regret may not necessarily translate into an actual departure, particularly given Baltimore's commitment to retaining him. Fans across the league have taken notice, with social media buzzing over hypothetical trades, jersey swaps, and imagined scenarios of Alexander locking down receivers in new uniforms. The speculation has taken on a life of its own, transforming his private regret into a public spectacle that transcends the boundaries of the Ravens organization. For Alexander, the challenge lies in tuning out the noise while navigating his internal conflict. Those sources suggest that the mounting attention only serves to amplify the weight of his decision. As the narrative grows, the NFL community waits eagerly to see whether this storyline culminates in dramatic change or quiet resolution. Ultimately, the saga of Jaire Alexander's regret underscores the unpredictable nature of professional sports, where decisions made under pressure can reverberate in unexpected ways. Insiders emphasize that his situation is not merely about football strategy or defensive schemes, but about the complex intersection of personal fulfillment, professional ambition, and organizational culture. The whispers of dissatisfaction have created a cloud of uncertainty that hovers over the Ravens' season, captivating fans and analysts alike. Whether his regret leads to a tactical adjustment, a public reconciliation, or an eventual departure remains one of the most compelling questions facing the NFL this year. Teammates, coaches, and fans continue to watch closely, interpreting every gesture, statement, and performance for clues about his state of mind. For now, the story remains unresolved, a living rumor that fuels debate and speculation across the league. What is clear, however, is that Alexander's journey serves as a reminder that even the most talented athletes grapple with doubts, pressures, and the human realities of their decisions. As the season marches on, the question lingers: will Jaire Alexander find peace in Baltimore, or will his regret eventually push him toward a new chapter elsewhere? That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.